The Cheese Moon. A magnificent, golden frontier just waiting to be colonized. And what's a space frontier without a cozy little home? Master builder Grog wastes no time. With a dramatic toss of a storage crate, a cascade of white and gray macaroni bricks hits the lunar dust. In a spectacular high-speed blur of master building magic, the pieces fly together. Click, clack, snap. Within seconds, the sleek, domed walls of Moonbase Alpha rise from the yellow surface. REXY adds the finishing touch, a massive, reinforced glass dome window. Flawless. Stepping through the airlock, the heavy metal doors seal shut. The hiss of pressurization fills the room. Artificial gravity clicks on. Finally, Grog reaches up and unlatches his heavy bronze helmet. He takes a deep, refreshing breath of real manufactured air. REXY flips his glass dome back and lets out a massive, echoing yawn. But the true centerpiece of their new home is not the advanced technology. Grog carefully places a tiny, vibrant green earth plant right in the center of the room. A little piece of home, thriving among the stars. But the tranquility of space is always temporary. The gentle, rhythmic hum of the Technic air filtration system suddenly turns into a terrifying, grinding screech. Sparks fly. The fan stutters, chokes, and grinds to a complete dead halt. Instantly, the cabin lights plunge into a harsh, flashing emergency red. The oxygen stops flowing. The air grows heavy and thin. Grog clutches his throat, gasping. REXY's tongue lolls out, panting heavily. But the real tragedy is happening right on the table. Without circulation, the beautiful little earth plant instantly droops, its vibrant green leaves wilting in the stagnant air. Panicking, Grog slams the emergency comms button. The giant monitor flares to life. Through the static, a familiar face appears: Lila, the brilliant scientist back at Neoplastic Valley on Earth. She drops her pen in shock, pulling down her headset as she sees her friends in peril. But there's a major problem: the audio feed is completely dead. It's time for the most high-stakes game of charades in the galaxy. Grog frantically points at the smoking fan, clutching his throat to mime choking. He holds up the pathetic, wilting plant, crying invisible plastic tears. On Earth, Lila paces her lab in an absolute panic. Suddenly, a literal yellow light bulb flashes above her head. She has a brilliant idea. Pointing directly at REXY, she takes an exaggerated deep breath and mimes gently blowing air out. She forms her hands into a C and an O. So, too. Grog gets it. Plants need carbon dioxide to survive, and a giant Tyrannosaurus Rex exhales enough CO2 to fuel an entire forest. Grog excitedly pulls REXY toward the dying plant and yanks open the emergency disposal chute to vent the dead air out into space. REXY steps up to the plate. On the monitor, Lila holds her hands up, gesturing wildly for him to be extremely gentle. Grog pinches his fingers together. Just a little puff, buddy. REXY gives a confident nod and puffs out his massive tan chest. He begins to inhale, and inhale, and inhale. The sheer suction force drags Grog across the floor. REXY's belly swells like a colossal red balloon. Lila's face drops in sheer horror. She waves her arms frantically, but it's too late. REXY puckers his lips and unleashes a Category 5 hurricane. Whoosh! The sheer, devastating force of the dinosaur breath blasts the table. The plant does not just lose its leaves. The entire reddish-brown pot is violently uprooted. It shoots across the room at warp speed, flying perfectly through the open disposal chute. Outside, the little potted plant tumbles helplessly into the endless dark void of space, gone forever. Inside the base, the hurricane force pins Grog flat against the back wall. As the wind finally dies down, Grog slowly slides down to the floor with a pathetic thud. REXY blinks his dotted eyes, staring blankly at the completely empty table. On Earth, Lila slowly slides down her desk in total defeat, banging her head against the console. REXY shrinks down, poking his tiny fingers together in ultimate shame, his heavy tail drooping miserably. Grog is furious, ready to scold his giant friend, until he pauses. He takes a deep breath. The air. It is breathable again. REXY's massive CO2 blast completely refreshed the cabin pressure. Quickly, Grog reaches deep into his leopard print loincloth and pulls out a tiny round green plate. A backup seed. He scoops some yellow lunar dust into a plastic cup, drops the seed in, and points at REXY. This time, Grog mimes the gentlest, softest little breeze imaginable. REXY understands. He leans in close, barely parting his massive jaws, exhales a warm, gentle, misty sigh over the little cup. Ting! Stop-motion magic takes over. A green stem shoots up. Leaves unfurl. And right in the center, a stunning, vibrant magenta flower blooms brilliantly, radiating fresh, pure oxygen. The life support monitors instantly turn a glowing, healthy green. On Earth, Lila jumps for joy, throwing her scientific papers into the air. Inside Moonbase Alpha, Grog leaps up and throws his arms around REXY's massive snout. As the camera slowly pulls back through the glass dome window, we leave our two heroes happily dancing around their beautiful new flower, turning a cold, alien moon into a warm, breathable home. The words end of episode 66 bloom onto the screen in vibrant green leaves before gently fading to black. Snap! A crisp circular spotlight punches through the pitch-black screen, illuminating a pure white baseplate right in the dead center. The tiny, rhythmic click-clack of miniature plastic footsteps echoes out in the void. Zippy, the glossy black Lego ant, strolls casually and confidently into the spotlight. He looks straight into the lens, his big, innocent black eyes blinking sweetly. Rearing up, Zippy stands firmly and proudly on his two hind legs. With his front legs, he hoists a highly detailed, brilliant YouTube red tile high into the air. It is crisply printed with the words, "Like and subscribe," in stark, bold white lettering. Zippy nods his head furiously in a blur of stop-motion excitement, lets out an incredibly cute, joyful squeak, and with a sharp, echoing click, the spotlight snaps off.